What do the marks on your golf club tell me about your swing? Because over years of doing this, I do feel like I'm a bit of a golf club whisperer. Meaning I'd have no idea what your swing actually looks like, but I can pretty much guarantee exactly what the impact will be. To the point after having a conversation with someone for 5-10 minutes, seeing their whole bag and them telling me what clubs in their bag work and what clubs in their bag don't, I have a pretty good understanding on what we're going to be working on. So we have a selection of clubs here with various marks, dents, scratches, with the whole point being if your clubs tend to have some of these marks, how are you going to fix it? And ultimately, how are you going to make your ball flight better? This is probably the biggest concern a lot of you have, especially if you've got a new driver. I mean, let's forget that. That's a get me off this golf course now, I hate this game kind of mark. Let me show you how we're going to get rid of that altogether. If you prefer obstacles, there's a definite obstacle that you can do with this one, and they kind of tie in together. That's what I say to everyone that I teach. Realistically, there's only 8 to 10 things that you can ever change in a golf swing, but 20 feelings and 20 drills for all of those, just so someone gets the understanding. But obviously, if we miss the head cover on the way through into the ball, there's absolutely no way I'm ever hitting that part of the driver. However, if it was that simple, everyone would be doing this drill 24/7 and they would have got rid of their coming down into the ball. So you have to understand why, and a lot of these will come down to release. This golfer typically over the top, meaning that they then need to release the club early enough so it points left enough so that it goes that way and then comes back in. However, the downside of releasing the club early is that when we come down into the ball, naturally you see where that face is pointing. Versus someone that comes on the inside behind themselves, drives in with the hands and then last minute releases, automatically I almost want to hit the ground behind the ball. Whether you use the head cover or whether you even just do some swings where you're essentially just going, the main purpose is we're trying to hit up through the driver, not down on it. That's obviously an exaggeration, but for some of you guys that struggle with this over the top cast, flipping, a lot of this mark here, well, it'd be good just to see you do some of these shots where you do the complete opposite. Let's look at a bottom of a driver, shall we? Paint worn off and very much in this kind of direction, going from here to the top over here. However, no sky marks, and to be honest, I can tell this guy was a power fader. Low ball flight, fizzing, definitely leaving distance on the table, but probably quite consistent. But I know he can get away with that low launch, fizzing fade, because he's got an X-Stiff 70-gram shaft in it, lofted at 9 degrees, and I imagine this combo was so that he could knock some of the spin off his shots. Oh, there she is. Again, 111 miles an hour, a 7-degree launch angle, still has the ability to go 270, but you can see the spin there. Don't get me wrong, at 270, if that's consistent, 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10, keep it. Do you know what I mean? Hit down on the ball, come across it, hit that cut fade. If that's consistent, great. And because realistically there's no sky marks on the top of the driver, I know the person would have teed the ball quite low. And also the middle spot's pretty worn out. So this person was a very decent ball striker. Not to mention, it's got the telltale alignment stick in the bag head cover marks. If anyone doesn't know, this is when you go to put your driver in the golf bag and you go like that. The alignment stick goes straight up the back of the head cover and ultimately produces this. I think the really interesting thing about these two drivers is that both of them probably have similar swing paths and angle attacks into the ball, but this person's got a lot of club head speed and a very decent striker out the middle of the face, so he made it work. And if that person came to me as a lesson and said, Simon, I know I hit down, I know I come across my driver, but it's the strongest club in my bag, I'm not touching it, we're leaving it exactly the same as it is. I won't spend too much time on this one, but ultimately this has the telltale signs again. It's a 5-wood, draw type, This is a weapon for anyone that was struggling with the first driver. If you didn't have the club head speed of the Maverick driver, i.e. the 110, 111, you saw how low it launched, 7 degrees or 9 degrees in terms of off the tee. So that golfer that does come this way, does cast their clubs, does have these sky marks, loft is your friend, and having a club head that closes more, i.e. the draw type on the way down, well, makes a lot of sense. So if you don't want to change your swing and don't change your release, because that drill that I showed you at the start basically will gain the distance on the big hitter, it will stop the sky marks of this player and the first driver's swing. But if you're just looking for equipment change and a stock shot, draw type 5 would be a great little addition to your bag. Right, let's go on to wedges and why these two differ, even though they're from a player that I know is extremely handy around the green. I know that to be the case because these are my old coach's wedges. First of all, if any of my lessons or clients have marks like this on their wedges, I am extremely happy. And we'll talk about the location of the marks rather than the marks themselves. But if you have marks like this on your wedges, I know you practice your chipping on either a grass short game area or a grass driving range. And ultimately, that is the litmus test of you really putting your work on your game. You won't get these marks hitting chip shots or wedge shots off a mat. To me, it gives me a bit of deep joy as that person is serious about their golf game. Briefly talking about the location of the mark, this is a 60 degrees, so obviously he would have used this out of the bunker. You can see the direction of the face wanting to be a bit more, well, left to right, and that's because, well, in the bunker, you're going to open up that face, and again, pretty consistent strike mark. Compared to his 52, which he wouldn't leave open, and again, obviously very consistent strike pattern. Understanding release, for me, took an incredibly long time, as it's so difficult to really understand, especially the timing element. The chipper, again, if someone's got it in the bag, I couldn't care less, but I do love showing them how easy chipping can be with something like this. But understanding release, just like the drivers, is really important on low point control, as I showed earlier. This, you can just putt, shoulders, back and forth, hit the ground, big MOI, you're going to get away with it. One of these, a lot tougher. But when it comes to wedges, we want to hit the ground with this part. And the reason why I showed you that strike mark with the 60-degree wedge is because even though my coach used these for bunker shots, a lot of people are striking their ball when they're trying to hit a full wedge shot. The issue with that open club face and coming across it is that you're just glancing the ball, you're not coming through, and the whole reason that they're doing this is, well, let's be honest, it's easier to hit down on the ball from over here with an early release, so we can go flop shot style. And if we did the same release but changed our swing path, so we're going here and then there, well then we top it. Again, this is why I show loads of people this release into the ball, getting used to the idea of where that club should be dropping, playing about with the left hand, learning that the left hand actually is the main motor of this. The right hand, for a lot of these golfers, overtakes and wants to get involved in the swing, whereas realistically it's more on for the ride and last minute. And again, it's why I can have all my weight back here and still have the ability to hit my low point towards this side of the ball. It's the reason why you can see players being able to hit their wedges a lot further than you, because again, if you're releasing early, it's going to be adding loft. To be honest, if you want to hit the ball with an early release, you're going to have to slide, and you're more than likely going to have to come over the top. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, if it helped at all, if it made a lot of sense. And if you've got any questions, sasgolfacademy.com, or if you want to check out my app on Skillist, I'll leave the link in the description. Catch you guys later.